So, if you're anything like me, Christmas is a really good time to catch up on local multiplayer games. The kinds of games that you don't usually get a chance to play through the year because you're busy playing other games, or because you just haven't got time to kind of get a group together to sit down and play for long play sessions. During Christmas, I generally go home for a week or so, and during that time I catch up with my brother, obviously, and my family, and we generally sit down and play through quite a few games, or at least play a lot of various games, even if we don't quite finish them. So I thought I'd make this video, I guess, in kind of respect for and appreciation of local multiplayer experiences, because I obviously don't get a chance to play these as much during the year as I might like, and I don't often write about them or talk about them probably as much as I should, because I really do enjoy the local multiplayer experience, but I just don't get the time to sit down and really get stuck into it. This is a good example right here. Earth Defense Force is a really damn good game, and I really enjoy it single player as well, but it really gets taken to the next level when you can play it split screen with somebody else. I don't even know if there is online multiplayer, but for me, this is a great game. The big great nature of it, this is a great game to sit down with somebody who has a similar sense of humour to you, and can appreciate this kind of nonsense game and really kind of get stuck into the action. So there's some good team mechanics in there too, because there's different character classes and each character class has its own special abilities. So yeah, we had a lot of fun playing through this over the Christmas break. And I thought for the rest of the video I'll show you through some of the other games that we played and why I think they're particularly good examples of local multiplayer. So the next video is Aslan. Koei Tecmo has generally been quite good at putting local multiplayer into its Warriors games. Some of the more recent ones haven't got them, I believe. But this one and another one, which I'll show you a bit later on in the video, we played a fair bit. Aslan, my brother, quite enjoyed the art style. He didn't really know the franchise like I did. I've obviously played through the game in single player, so I was quite familiar with it. But for him, it was a chance to experience this Warriors game for the first time, and he really enjoyed it. We had a good time. Again, each character has their own special abilities and their own fighting style. So each character has its own role in the battlefield, and Aslan's really great because it has those kind of wide open battlefields, so it feels like you're part of a large army, and it has that kind of epic feel that really works well with the local multiplayer experience. It has a good atmosphere as a local multiplayer game, and yeah, we really did enjoy this one. As you can see, this is probably about midway through the game, midway through the story, and we didn't quite finish it, unfortunately, because it is quite a long game. But one of the great things about local multiplayer is if somebody has got a lot of experience with Warriors games, as I do, and my brother doesn't, I can kind of help him work his way through the game, through some of the more difficult bits, or the bits that aren't immediately obvious. Like, for instance, you have to do a cavalry charge here, unless you're paying attention right at the start. It can be easy to miss how to do this, so to have somebody else be able to kind of pick it up and just take over, it certainly makes it more accessible for more people, and yeah, it's a good way to go about playing these games, I guess. And obviously, because there's a lot of timers in Aslan and all the Warriors games, it helps to be able to split your attention, and it helps to be able to work together to complete objectives in a faster time. There's less time pressure, it feels less stressful, I guess, in a lot of cases, and it adds to the strategy. I mean, the Warriors games are meant to be tactical kind of action games, and being able to work with somebody to complete these missions it really goes to the spirit of the series. So yeah, hopefully Koei Tecmo continues to work on putting local multiplayer into its Warriors games. Next up we have Rock of Ages. Now, Rock of Ages is both competitive and cooperative. I believe, from memory, this video clip, we're actually competing against one another. This is a really great fun game, and I don't know anybody who actually plays this who doesn't love it. It's one of those ones that you miss. You don't really know it's there until somebody shows it to you. I was able to show my brother the game, and yeah, like I said, he really enjoyed it, and we got a real kick out of this one. So as you can see, it's a mix of tower defense and monkey ball style, kind of rolling a rock down a hill to kind of smash into your opponent's castle, the goal being to destroy the castle gate completely while defending your own. I mean, you put down these traps and turrets and things to try and slow the enemy ball down or do damage to it, so it will be less effective when it crashes into your castle. And then, like I said, you've got to navigate your own ball down past your opponent's traps and things to crash into the castle yourself. You can also play it cooperative, where you can take on an AI and you can both work together to put down the traps and together to roll the balls down the mountain. So it has that mix of styles. It's good for people who are just want to show another person the ropes, and then you can get really competitive with it, really competitive with it. Because as stupid as it is and as comedic as it is, it has really good systems at play, and it can be really challenging. It can be a real genuine test of both, you know, your ability to engage with action gameplay, rolling boulder down the hill, and also your strategy gameplay in the tower defense bits and pieces. So, you know, I don't know anybody who plays this who doesn't enjoy it, but it is one of those games that is better introduced to you than discovering it yourself and trying to figure it all out. So, yeah, again, this was a really good one to show my brother. We ended up spending a lot of time playing it because, yeah, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably go and buy a copy of it for himself and play. And again, compared to playing this online, it's much more fun to play locally because you can kind of yell and scream and laugh with somebody who's in the room. A lot of developers focus a lot on online multiplayer now, and fair enough, that's where the majority of the gameplay, I guess, comes from, because it is hard to get people together in a room to play multiplayer sessions. But it's nice to have that option for people who prefer this style of play and who have the opportunity, even if it's only occasionally, to play local multiplayer. Next up is a staple of the family for local multiplayer. We all like our sports games, and in particular we like our football games. We're all kind of fans of the sport, so every time we get together to play some local multiplayer, we have a football game kind of in high rotation. This is one of the earlier editions of PES. Unfortunately, I missed this year's edition of PES, which is disappointing because I actually really like this. I prefer PES to FIFA, that's for sure. And yeah, I have the most recent FIFA on the Nintendo Switch, which we also played a bit of, but we kept coming back to this one because, like I said, it's more fluid. It feels better, I think, for most of us in the family when we're playing football. It feels smoother, it feels cleaner, the passing game's more dynamic, and yeah, we prefer this one. So yeah, we got quite a bit of play out of this. Again, you can play both, you know, competitively and cooperatively. If you want to go through a championship and work with your friends to win it, then you can certainly do that. And if you want to turn the AI up, you can get a really good challenge that'll really test your ability to work with your partner. This particular match you're watching, we're actually playing against each other because nothing's quite like football for bringing out the competitive edge in people. So yeah, it's always good fun, and not much else I can really say about it. If you're a fan of sports games, then you probably got your own sports game that you prefer to play than FIFA. You know, and it's always good to have one or two in the library for the local multiplayer sessions. That was my goal, by the way. Pretty good goal. Another Warriors game, like I said earlier, we played a lot of Warriors games. This one we really enjoyed because my brother is a really big strategy game fan. He's a huge fan of Civilization, Europa Universalis, and all of that kind of stuff. And this is, you know, Samurai Warriors 4 Empires, which brings in some light strategy elements into the action of the Warriors games, and yeah, he really appreciated that. He really enjoyed the tactical side of things, and it's a very simple strategy game. Anybody who's played Warriors 4 Empires would know that. It's not, we're not talking about Civilization or anything here. The strategy elements are very light, but they are there and they're present enough, and they have enough of an impact on the battlefield in the combat side of the game to to appeal to strategy fans, and there is that sense of capturing territories, and there is that sense of developing up your castle and your forces and your generals, building up a big list of generals, stable of generals to call on to take into battle. There is the tactical map, which you can see on the screen right now, which you can jump into and you can direct forces around. You can see there's a green and a blue arrow there. That's my brother and myself, and we split our forces to tackle different objectives on the battlefield at the same time. And once again, it has that nice appeal that you're working together with somebody. You're relying on them to do their job on the battlefield and stuff like that. So it has that kind of more epic military feel to it, tactical feel to it, and it's exciting, it's dynamic. Even though, in some of the battles you actually do get to fight side by side with one another, and generally speaking, by the end of the battle, when you go into the enemy base to take on the boss, you will generally find that you're kind of in the same position as one another, and you both kind of tackle them at the same time, which is good because the bosses tend to be quite tough, and working together with somebody to take them down is the way to do it. But through the battle, you'll generally be doing your own thing and focusing on making sure that you're holding up your end of the bargain. Some of the tougher battles, we would yell at each other a little bit because we both kind of would make mistakes, and that would lead to a mission over, because our leader would get killed or our base would be invaded by the enemy. So, yes, as you can see, here I am I'm the top one here, Lady Hayakawa, taking on Masamune Date and a whole bunch of other great generals, and that was good of me. I don't quite know what my brother is doing as Kotaro Fuma. Probably in this battle, actually, we did have a bit of trouble because the top corner of it actually proved to be quite tough to hold on to the bases and make sure that the enemy wasn't progressively capturing them, and when they do, the whole map, as you can see, starts to turn red, which powers up the enemies within that space. So we found this one tough enough. We had to retry it a couple of times. I think we also didn't quite have the forces that we needed to. This was a defensive mission because we were being attacked. We didn't quite have the army that we needed to take it on comfortably, but we got there in the end, and we ended up uniting Japan, which was achievement, I guess, a Christmas achievement, if you want to call it that. Another one that I think anybody who plays any kind of any local multiplayer really needs to get stuck into quite often is Overcooked. This is a cooperative. You can also play competitively, but it's predominantly a cooperative game where one person, you kind of need to split roles, but basically the goal is to prepare meals as demanded by customers on the top left. You prepare meals by chopping vegetables, cooking meat, making soup, all of that kind of stuff, serving it up on a dish, and then dropping it into the serving conveyor belt thing there. And the challenge with this one is obviously there's a lot of things to do, and you're not generally going to be able to do it all yourself particularly efficiently. The goal is to work together, to split the roles, to split the jobs, and to maximize your efficiency as a result. And it can be pretty manic, especially when the environment starts to do funky things like this one does. This is fairly early on in the game, before things get really challenging, but as you can see, every so often the environment changes to really throw a spanner in the works and force you to think on your feet and change the roles that each other is doing. And yeah, this one is it's a lot of fun. It's just tears of laughter kind of fun. It's nonsense, but it's quality game. So definitely, if you have local multiplayer sessions ever, you must have this one. And then finally, another cooperative game. This one is a game that, indeed, I would never really think to play by myself. I don't think it works as a single-player game on any level. It's Gauntlet. It's the recent-ish a couple of years old now, but recent-ish Gauntlet game. Gauntlet being a game that was around in the arcades back in the 80s and all that kind of stuff, and it's, you know, very action-focused, fantasy, I mean, you can kind of call it Diablo-ish, I guess. It's not really. I mean, it came before Diablo, and it's more action than RPG, but it's that kind of feeling. Top-down, loads of monsters to kill, the reason it kind of works as a local multiplayer game and doesn't really work in single player is, as you can see, the hordes are huge, and the action itself is quite simple. So the difficulty is in being swamped by enemies, and that's just not a whole lot of fun when you play by yourself, because, well, it's too simple to really work as a single player game. But in multiplayer, that simpleness is a strength, because everybody can get stuck into it. Everybody can, you know, wail away at the enemies and have a really good time, you know, mowing through hordes, collecting loot, upgrading your character, and then trying it again. The dungeons are randomized, so there's kind of an unlimited replay value in it. And each time you challenge yourself to get a bit deeper, a bit deeper, a bit deeper. As you can see, we got to the 12th floor in this one, and we got slaughtered at this point. But 12th floor is actually pretty good, I thought. We've, yeah, for something that I don't usually play. So we were basically starting from scratch, and yeah. So that's all the local multiplayer games we kind of got stuck into over this Christmas. I hope you guys got a chance to play a lot of games and, you know, hopefully some multiplayer with family and friends. Thanks for watching, and see you at the next video.